In this episode, I want to talk about a guide that I have created for you. I call it the Invincible Life Guide, and it's for 2026. My goal for this podcast has always been to help you become what I call more invincible in your life. But what do I mean by that? Well, basically, it means having the confidence, courage, and means to work and live your life the way you want. So, I'm going to go into more details in this episode about how to get this guide and how to use it. I'm Larry Cornett, and this is Invincible Life. I've linked the new guide for you to download in the newsletter that is associated with this podcast episode. So if you go to newsletter.invinciblelife.me, you can find issue 171. It's all about the Invincible Life Guide for 2026. And you can always go to larrycornett.coach, to get access to the Invincible Life newsletter, my career newsletter, and my solopreneur newsletter. So you can always go there and find everything. The newsletters, the podcast, you name it, that kind of stuff. But I wanted to add more structure to the podcast this year and try to make it more helpful and more useful for you. Building up over the months and the weeks of this year so that at the end of the year, you have something you can take away that will really help you improve your life. And that's this Invincible Life Guide. I feel strongly about this. Obviously, I've been doing this for many years, and I have lived a life where I didn't feel invincible, where I felt pretty vulnerable. Living at the whim of an employer who could decide if I had my job or if I'd be part of a layoff, or if I would enjoy my working experience or hate it. You want to keep your job, you have to do what they say. And you do have some degree of freedom if you're valuable and they want to keep you, but at the end of the day, you're working for someone else. And it's not just about work. We can also be in situations where we feel that we are vulnerable because of the environment we live in or the people we have to spend time with, and not really feel like we're in control of our lives. And so it's really trying to help you be free of someone else or something else controlling you, owning your time so you have no time freedom, deciding how you spend your days and deciding where you spend your days. And I've written about the concept of an invincible life before, quite a bit. I've talked about how you can apply it to your personal life, how you can apply it to your career, and if you're independent, how you can apply that to the way you design and operate your own business, your solopreneur business. You're probably familiar, if you've been listening for a while, with the book that I've written, and I'm now in the process of editing, which I'm discovering is even harder than writing. Anyway, I'm about halfway through editing the book, but it's all about how to become more invincible in your life. And I boil it down to a few key principles. The book's chapters go into more detail on those principles and additional, content, but really explaining how to do this, why to do this, the benefits of it, and what the outcomes will be. And I want you to be empowered. I really do. I want you to be happy. I want you to be confident and empowered because I know how much better life is when it's like that. So these have evolved over time when I first started thinking about this and writing about this, but I came up with this concept of what does it look like if you're living an invincible life? What would those principles be? And I came up with these 10 principles. And one is live where you will enjoy your quality of life, which seems silly, may seem obvious, but a lot of people don't live where they want to live. And that could be for a lot of reasons. It can be because of economic reasons, that it's really hard to move somewhere else. It can be because of geopolitical issues that they can't just leave where they live. It Can be because you have to live where you are because that's where the work is. That was certainly my life when I wanted to live in the heart of the tech industry in Silicon Valley, and that's not where I wanted to live. It's where I felt like I had to live. So living where you want, where you will enjoy your quality of life, is freedom. That is one of the principles of an invincible life, and there are ways to make that happen. 2 is work where you want to spend those hours, those working hours. Somewhat related, obviously. But if you are independent and you're free of the constraints of working for an employer, you can choose where you work. I spend most of my time working in my favorite chair by a fire. Sometimes in my office. I have my own office in my house. Sometimes I'll work out of a coffee shop or at a ski resort. I get to choose where I want to spend my working hours, and I did not get to do that before. I used to have to commute 2 to 4 hours round trip a day to work where I did not want to work. Yeah, in an office, not even an office, in a cubicle on a corporate campus. So that's why I think that's such an important principle, that you should be able to work where you want to spend the time that you work. Number 3, become known for what you believe in, what you do. Become a known expert. Become known for being good at this. That helps you become what I call an opportunity magnet. So if you are known for who you are and what you do, and people know that you're good at it and you're respected for it, you're going to have a much better life, especially on the career side of things, because people will seek you out. Number 4, transform your work and your life to be meaningful. And again, I've spent many years of my life doing work that was not meaningful, that didn't feel like it had much of a purpose. Work that was thrown away, work doing stuff that I didn't believe in, and being able to change that really changes how you wake up every morning when you feel like your purpose matters. And now that I've been coaching people since around 2016 full-time, it does feel meaningful. I'm helping people. I'm helping people I like. I'm helping good people escape bad situations and get into a situation where they're happier and they're healthier and they're more fulfilled. So it feels meaningful to me. And that's important. We all want to feel like we have meaning and purpose in our lives. Number 5 is take control of how you work and live your life. That's important too. No one likes to be micromanaged. No one likes to be told how to do their work and not to be respected. No one wants to be told how they should live their life. Having the freedom to control how you do your work and how you live your life makes you invincible. It feels pretty incredible. Number 6, own your time to control when you work and when you play. This is the most valuable resource you can imagine, time freedom. I've talked about this. A number of other people have said this is true wealth. Money is not necessarily the true indicator of wealth, and money can sometimes buy time freedom, but sometimes people with the most money have zero time freedom. But owning your time and deciding, how am I going to spend my day today? When do I want to wake up? When do I want to work? When do I want to take a break? Do I even want to work today? Maybe I won't. Maybe I just don't work today. That's powerful. That's a feeling of invincibility. So owning your time, having that time freedom is super important. The 7th principle, spend time with people who bring out your best. This can be people you work with. It can be customers and clients that you choose. If you run your own business, it can be people in your personal life, loved ones, friends. And that's important too. None of us want to spend time with people that we really just don't like. Working for a boss who's a jerk, working for toxic coworkers, being in a bad relationship. It's not a good feeling. But when you get to spend time with people that bring out the best in you and you love spending time with those people, that feels pretty darn good. That's pretty invincible. Number 8, find fulfillment by creating, helping, and improving. So there's no fulfillment in consuming. I've never felt fulfilled after watching a Netflix show. It just doesn't quite scratch that itch. And so the whole consumption culture isn't very fulfilling, but creating something feels pretty amazing, whatever that is for you. It can be creating music, it can be creating art, it can be creating things that you write, poems, fiction, nonfiction, whatever. It can be creating anything, but the act of creation is quite fulfilling. Helping other people is very fulfilling. Helping them solve their problems, helping them improve their lives, extremely fulfilling. That's why people volunteer. That's why they work for charities. It is a good feeling. And in the whole improving thing is like, are you leaving this world better than you found it? Are you doing what you can to improve the world around you or the world at large or to improve other people's lives? Very fulfilling. Number 9, free yourself to never again feel trapped. And this is kind of all encompassing, but once you are taking those other principles to heart and you're taking the steps that I outline in the book, setting yourself free feels incredible. I left the corporate world in 2010. I thought I might go back. I did some consulting, took some time off, and I did a few job interviews. And then I was like, I can't give up this freedom. And I sacrificed a lot to do that. I gave up a lot of income to do that. I had to make life changes to do that. But once I had that taste of freedom, I never wanted to feel trapped again. Trapped in a job, trapped underneath a boss, trapped in a geographic area where I felt like I had to live in Silicon Valley to keep working and to keep up with the Joneses. Once you set yourself free, you're going to never want to be trapped again. And then the final principle, principle 10, empower yourself and never again feel vulnerable. Somewhat related to feeling trapped, but I think we all know what it means to feel vulnerable. We've all had times when we felt vulnerable. But if you empower yourself on multiple fronts, and that's how you live your life, how you work, how you take care of yourself physically, your emotional strength, your mental strength, once you feel powerful and you do everything you can to maintain your power, you don't feel vulnerable anymore. Even in situations where maybe you should, and maybe you don't have a lot of power, because of that internal strength, you don't feel vulnerable. So that's what it's all about. That's those 10 principles. I outlined those in the companion guide as well. So I did create this companion guide, and it's a little briefer than all the stuff I'm talking about. Like, I don't want to have a 1,000-page book that you have to read. I'm not trying to make you work through these massive workbooks that I use for my one-on-one clients, because we work together for several weeks, sometimes months. I have some people I've worked with for years. And so those are a lot more detailed. So I've been pulling content from the book, content from the workbooks that I use with my coaching clients, and content from the courses and workshops that I've taught to create something that's pretty detailed. I mean, it goes through every week of this year. It's already 60-some slides. It's probably going to be a lot larger, but I tried to make it a little briefer, but really trying to provide this additional structure to help you work through month by month and week by week to build up what it means to build an invincible life. It's in Google Slides format. I'm kind of stuck with Google Docs for now because of slides. And it is one of the most portable formats, so it allows you to save a copy of the presentation to your own Google Drive. So you can put it in your own preferred folder, and then it will be editable at that point. And that will let you edit the placeholder text so that you can enter your answers to the questions, and you can add slides and modify it to your heart's content. You could also choose to download a copy of it to your own computer. You could have it in PowerPoint format. There's even a text format. It's really up to you how you want to do this. But I included a link and a button that lets you go get the Google slide that I've created, this companion guide. So If you're listening to this point, go to newsletter.invinciblelife.me. This is issue 171 about the Invincible Life Guide for 2026. And you can download the guide. I will be sending out weekly emails throughout the year with additional content for the guide, with reminders to download the guide. So if you missed it this time, you can probably pick it up later. But every month we'll have a specific theme. So like I said, I'm trying to be more structured and focused. Every week within each month, we'll have a set of homework questions that are related to that theme. So I will create and share a new Google Slides doc with that week's questions. And I'll send that out via my newsletter email. So please subscribe. It's free to subscribe. I will also share it in my private community, and I included a link where you can apply to join the community. It's also free. So I have the Invincible Life community. That way you can download that new presentation and copy and paste the slides. Sometimes it's one slide, sometimes it's 3 or 4. Copy them, paste them into your editable copy of the guide, and then you can answer the questions. And in my community, I have weekly office hours. So if you join that for free, every Monday I have office hours so people can ask questions, for example, about the guide and say, what do you mean by this question? Or what do you think about my answer to this question? And they can get feedback from me, they can get help from me, and other people in the community. So it's not just me. People who are premium newsletter subscribers also get invited to a monthly Zoom call. So we do a live call every month. It's with the people who have upgraded to the premium. And we have a live conversation about this, which is way more fun, way more flexible. People have been doing it for almost 10 years now. So it's been kind of a fun group of people to get to know. They're nice folks. We're not scary. And in that guide, I've already included all of the slides which have the questions for the month of January, which is about your goals. So the new slides will come each month. As I said, you got to subscribe so that you can get notified about that. The themes for this year, 1 through 12 for January through December, it's going to be your goals, the blockers, what's sitting between you and your goals, your toolbox. I've talked about that before. A strategy and plan, making progress, like chipping away at this. A month about becoming invincible, so going into more detail about that. Your network, the people that you're connected to, your friends and acquaintances, coworkers, you name it. Targeting, which is going after specific opportunities, whatever those might be for you. Broadcasting, letting the world know you exist and using that to help you achieve your goals. And then talking about systems, so ways to do this in a repeatable fashion that isn't so time intensive and draining, and some of the stuff that I use for that. Resources that could help you with this, and that could include online stuff, offline, people, connections, all that kind of stuff. And then finally, the last month is all about a look back. It's evaluation. What was the progress like? Are you happy with things? Celebrating your wins. Thinking about what worked and what didn't work and what you want to change for the next year. And then, we do it all over again. Let me pull up the guide really quick and kind of step through it. I'll describe it in a little bit. So as I said, this is the Invincible Life Guide for 2026. There's a place for you to enter your name so that you know this is for you. It's your guide. A little bit about my background. I included a link. If you ever want to book a free call with me, I have an initial complimentary call that people can book, and we can just have a chat, and I can talk with you about what you're trying to accomplish in your life. A little bit about my background. I've been full-time coach since 2016. I've been in the tech industry, 20-some years before that. I've been a solopreneur since 2010. I left the corporate world and started doing my own consulting, mostly product design and strategy consulting, and then getting into the coaching. Worked at some fun places when I was in tech, places like IBM, Apple, eBay, Yahoo. Number of startups, including my own. I actually did get a PhD in psychology, and that's from Rice University in Texas. Other fun facts, boy, oh boy. I'm married, been married coming up on 35 years. We have 3 wonderful children. They're all grown now and doing their own thing. And if you follow me, and if you follow me on Instagram and other places, I'm all over the place. I like to write, read. I do a lot of powerlifting, hiking, share pictures of nature and stuff. I'm in Northern California, so there's some pretty spots. Anyway, that's enough about me. I included in the guide some details about how you can save your copy of it, because that's what you need to do, because if you don't, it's just read only. So you open it via the link. There'll be a place for you to sign into your Google account, obviously. And then once you're signed in, then if you go under the file menu, you can make a copy. And so it'll say make a copy, and the sub menu is the entire presentation. This will bring up a dialog that lets you copy it to your Google Drive, or you could go deeper and select a folder. So if you want to put it into a nested folder in your drive, you can do that too. And now it's in your folder in the Google Drive, and you can edit all the text and answer the questions and so forth. I also showed how you can go under download, and you can choose to download a PowerPoint version, a PDF document, which isn't that useful unless you know how to edit PDFs, plain text version, which strips out all the cool stuff, but at least it's editable. Anyway, you could probably choose how to do that. If you download PowerPoint, you could open it with PowerPoint. You could open it with Keynote on Mac OS. That opens those too. So let's see, I already explained that. One of the big questions I'm going to ask in the beginning is what is your long-term vision? So what do you ultimately want to do with your life? What's your grand vision? Kind of your North Star. And it doesn't have to be something wild and crazy. Sometimes people get overwhelmed by this, but sometimes a long-term vision for life is hey, I just want to be happy. I want to be healthy. I want to be fulfilled. That's it. Other people are I want to be a billionaire. I don't recommend that, but I know sometimes people want that. It could be what you want for your personal life in terms of a partner and a family. It could be where you want to live. Hey, my long-term vision is I retire to the French countryside. I'm connected with some new people that have done exactly that. Looks pretty good. So just thinking about that, and of course this can change. And that's why we do this every year, is that you start to pursue things, you explore, you think about life, some changes come along, you're you know what, I've changed my mind. This is what I want for my life. This is where I want to be in 20 years or whatever that might be. And then I explain the monthly themes. That is the structure of this guide. I include some links to make sure that it's easy for you to be subscribed to the newsletter so you can get updates about the new content, the new slides for answering questions you can apply to my free community. And then we dive into it. So number one is all for January. It's your goals. It's what do you want most this year? And I know some people have funny feelings about goals. It depends on what you want in life, right? If you're just trying to enjoy life and take it day by day, maybe you don't have a goal, and that is the goal. The goal is not to have goals, not to be burdened with goals. And I liken this to getting into a car. So sure, taking action and doing something every day it's valuable, sure. But if you do that without a goal or without a plan to reach the goal, it is like getting into your car and just starting to drive and you have no idea where you're going. There's no destination in mind. And sometimes that's valid. Maybe you just want to drive around and cool off, kind of chill for a bit, take your mind off things. That's fine. Most people, when they have something they want to do for travel or want to go experience something, they have a destination in mind. So you have a goal in mind, where you want to be, then you make a plan to get there. And that's kind of the point of goals. And it doesn't have to be a goal that's some hyper productivity, climbing the ladder, clawing your way to the top kind of goal. It can just be a really simple goal. One of my goals is I love writing fiction. I really want to publish fiction. Haven't done it yet. I'm working on it. And so before I die, I'd like to publish a book that's fiction. I share my goal system and how that works with your environment and support, accountability, having a strategy, plan, schedule, habits, using your calendar as a tool to help you, you name it, all that kind of stuff. And so it's a system that you can use to succeed with new goals in the future and whatever, because what you want for your life is going to evolve over time. What feels important to you right now may not be important next year. There might be something entirely new. But the way you approach it and go after it, that's a repeatable process. And then I dive into you selecting or identifying what your most important professional goal is this year. And I think it's important to have one big goal. And then you can have secondary, smaller goals, sure. But thinking about overall, what do I want this year? Some people want to get a new job. That's a big goal and that can take time. Some people want to get promoted. Sometimes you just want to keep your job. So maybe your biggest goal is, I don't want to get fired this year. I don't want to get laid off this year. That's a valid goal. And there are things you're going to have to do to make sure that happens or doesn't happen. That's fine. That's a totally valid goal. You're going to put your head down and just try to do what you got to do to keep your job, because it's a rough year. I understand. But that is a goal. That's a valid goal. And then your most important personal goal. What do you want to go after this year? For some people, it's things like, hey, I want to get healthier this year. I want to be more fit. I want to work out more. Or I want to eat better. I'm not really good about how I eat. Maybe it's I want to find the love of my life. Maybe it's I want to move. I want to move to a city that I like, that I enjoy. Or I want to write more poetry. Maybe that's a personal goal. Then I have slides where you can add additional professional goals, which are smaller goals. And it can be like, hey, I want to get better at public speaking or whatever it might be. Additional personal goals, it can be smaller goals. Like I want to visit my family more. I haven't seen my mom and dad enough this year. So that's a personal goal. And then thinking about deconstructing that and thinking about, well, what is your why? And I often ask people to do this because there's something usually underlying a goal. Like, why did you choose those goals? Why are they important to you? Dig deeper and get to the underlying roots of those goals. Why do you want them? Why do you want to pursue them now? And I'll give you an example. Sometimes people are like, hey, I want to become really wealthy. My big goal is I want to become a millionaire. And I'm like, well, why do you want to become a millionaire? Like, well, I want to be able to buy some really nice things. I want a big house. I want a nice car. I want better clothes. I want to travel. Well, why do you want to do that? Because I enjoy them and I want people to see that I'm successful. Why do you want to be successful, seem successful? Why do you want people to think you're successful? Like, well, I want more respect. I feel like people underestimate me. I feel like my parents thought I was a failure, or maybe they think it now. And so maybe if I become wealthy and I have nice things and they see me, they'll be proud of me. And so that's why I do this, because that's the real goal. This person wants their parents to be proud of them. They want to be proud of themselves. So now making money is a means to an end, but there might be other ways to feel proud, to have your parents feel proud. Sometimes what I see is there could be a shortcut to get to that goal. They thought they had to go through a certain path of other goals, but sometimes there's a faster path to get to that goal. I did the same thing with why I moved and why I live closer to the mountains now. I thought I had to follow a certain path to get there, and I discovered a shortcut. So kind of important. How will your life change? So if you achieve these goals, what changes in your life? Hopefully something improves, right? How does your working life improve, your personal life improve, whatever it might be? And then thinking about failure. So what would failure mean? What happens if you don't achieve your goals? What are the negative consequences of not achieving those goals? What does it mean if you don't get promoted? What does it mean if you don't write your book this year? Whatever it might be. And then define what success is. And trying to avoid what I call kind of fuzzy statements, those qualitative statements like better or more or best. I want to be the best at my job. What does that mean? How would you define best? What are the indicators of you being best? And so creating quantitative measures that will signal, I achieved my goal. I achieved my goal. So what are the success measures for the biggest goal, for the smallest goals, the smaller ones? And do the same for your personal goals. And again, don't be fuzzy and qualitative. Like, I want to be healthier. I want to be happier. Well, what does that mean? What do you mean by healthier? And so for you, it might mean, well, I want to be able to run a mile in a specific amount of time. That's a good indicator of health for someone my age. Or I want to be this body weight because I know that I'm overweight. And so if I am down to this weight, I think I'll be healthier. Maybe it's a cholesterol measure, right? What is it? What is the measure that when you achieve the goal, that'll be the signal? It's like, I did it. I made it. It's really important to have specific measures to know that you're making progress and to feel good about that progress and to know when you're done, right? Then there's going to be the blockers. This is stuff that's coming in February. You know your goal. You know who you are right now. What's between you and that goal? Pretty simple. What's missing? What's blocking you externally? What might be blocking you internally? What are you missing? What do you need? It could be skills. It could be experience. It could be money. It could be all kinds of stuff, right? What's in your toolbox? So I talk about the toolbox. I used to call it the toolbox of you. But it's basically what are the capabilities that you have? What are the resources available to you? And that can be your natural talents, your intelligence, something about your personality. It could be the knowledge you've learned, the skills you've acquired, experience you've gained, personal and work, the network you've built, people that you know, your financial resources, all kinds of stuff. And basically saying, what are you working with? What are you working with that you can apply to reach your goals? And then creating, number 4, your strategy and your plan. How will you actually go about achieving your goals this year? What's the strategy you're going to employ to get there? And then creating the plan to do that. The roadmap, like what are you going to do week after week, day to day to make progress and get that goal, go after it. And I go into details about what a strategy is. We're going to have more about that. Number 5, making progress. Using your calendar as a positive weapon. I use it all the time and make sure that what I want to do is on my calendar and blocks time so I have time to do it. For me, a lot of that is time to write, time to work out, all kinds of stuff. Creating powerful habits. And then also, I talk about this all the time, the power of accountability. Who is going to help you stay accountable? And things really change when you have accountability. You know, if you just have a goal in mind, like we're just talking about these goals, the probability of you accomplishing that goal is 10%. That's it. Now, if you set a date and say, I'm going to achieve this goal by this date, that probability jumps to 40%, 50% if you create a plan. It jumps to 65% if you promise someone else, I'm going to do this. I'm going to become fit. I'm going to be able to run a mile in this time. I'm going to lose this weight. And you tell your partner you're going to do that. Well, now it's up to 65%. It goes up to 95% if you set up specific recurring accountability appointments, like checking in with someone. And that can be a friend, it could be a loved one, a workout partner, it could be a coach like me. But I'll tell you what, people make progress when they know they have to talk to you. I see people make a lot of progress on their homework and what they need to do if they're trying to get a new job or they're trying to start a business or whatever it might be, when they know we're going to be meeting in a few days. And that's the power of that accountability. And it's good. It's good for them. 6, as I said, becoming invincible. And I go through those 10 principles of an invincible life. 7 is your network. So that is the power of networking. Who's in your corner? Who are you connected to? People that are colleagues, people that are supporters of you, people who are advisors, super important. I'm going to talk about that and the power of networking and connections to other people and how that can help you. Targeting, which is very specific, saying, well, what is it you want? What's the target? And going after it. How do you go after it? Who are the gatekeepers? How do you get around those gatekeepers? How do you get inside and get those champions on the inside, whatever it might be? If you're trying to get a job, if you're trying to publish a book, if you're trying to join a specific gym and you're trying to get inside and find someone who can help you with that, you name it. It's all about that network and targeting someone on the inside who can help you, targeting the opportunities you want to go after. 9 is something I call broadcasting, but It's letting the world know you exist. It's really hard to become what I call an opportunity magnet if no one knows about you. An opportunity magnet is someone that when an opportunity arises, whatever that might be, people immediately think of you and they're like, I know who'd be good for this. I know who'd be good to speak at this event. I know who'd be good to be on this panel. I know who you should hire. I know who you should do business with. I know who you should talk to. That means that people know you exist and they know what you're capable of doing, but it's hard for them to know that if you're not networking and if you're not putting yourself out there. And I know this is hard. It's hard for me. I had to change what I do and how I operate and why I record podcasts like this, or why I write the newsletters I do, why I'm active on Substack. How could someone work with me or hire me or partner with me if they didn't even know I existed? So they need to know who I am. They need to know how I think, what my beliefs are, and what I do. And so I talk a lot about how important it is to broadcast the right kind of content, the right stuff in the right way. And there are a lot of different ways you could do that. I go into that. 10 into the systems. So trying to create these repeatable systems and processes so that you're not reinventing stuff constantly. And you'll notice I don't. I leverage the stuff I do in multiple ways. I have the podcast, which generates a newsletter, which then goes to a video. So I'm trying to reuse and be efficient. 11 is resources. Excuse me. Let's see. That's going to be tools, information, operations, partners, people that you can work with. I talk about that and how to do that. And then last but not least, number 12, this is in December, evaluation. So taking a look back on the year, evaluating your progress, what went well, what didn't go so well, what do you want to change next time, and doing any necessary course correction. You sometimes don't know what you really want until you start making progress. So you can set a goal, you can have a target, you start working towards it. And then as you get closer, you're actually, I don't think that's what I want now. I thought I wanted this kind of job with this kind of company, but the more I learn about it and explore it and do some interviews, I don't think that's what I want. I think I'd rather have this kind of job at a different kind of company. Or I wanted to write this kind of book, but as I started writing it, it turned into something different. It's a different kind of book now, and I feel better about it. It can be all kinds of stuff. And so that's important because every year is a new chance to go after new goals and to adjust how you're doing it and to get more of what you want. And that's it. That's what this guide's all about. So if you go to newsletter.invinciblelife.me, this is issue 171. You can download your copy of the guide and start working through it. And I'll be providing more and more content throughout the year to help you with it. But I highly recommend subscribing to the newsletter. You can get connected with me on Substack. You can comment. You can message me. And if you join the community, it gets a lot easier. So if you join that Discord community, and it's free, you can talk with me all the time. You can have questions that you ask me during office hours. There's other people in there too that can help. So I really want to help you with this because I think becoming more invincible in your life is how you become more fulfilled and really enjoy your life. Until next time, I wish you the best of luck with pursuing the life of your dreams so you can be happier, healthier, and more fulfilled.